somebody can please explain or remind us what is the basic idea? And what is the goal or what is the benefit of using it? Yes, please.
It's a part of look and feel,
Okay.
and it's to describe a markup language.
To
Describe
describe?
a markup language. Like to give it more style for this markup language.
No, the HTML is the markup
Yes.
language. Okay?
Yeah.
So the style is to change how it looks. Okay? In terms of colors, fonts, position, borders, background color, and so on. Okay? So now, what is the benefit of using styles, style sheets? We discussed two main benefits, or three.
Consistency.
Thank you. Consistency, like all the pages of your application have the same look and feel. The second one is, sorry, thank you, ease of maintenance, because you put the style in separate place, and so you change them much easier than if they were embedded with the HTML or together with the HTML. The other one is, the third benefit is reusability. Thank you. You define the style once, and then you can reuse it in multiple pages. And that also makes the maintenance easier. If you change in one place, you change the styles in one place, it applies to all the pages. So it gives you that consistency, reusability, and maintainability. So how do we write styles? What is the basic idea of writing styles or style sheets? Remember the analogy I gave you of Word?
Yes.
You're writing a Word document.
Yeah, select
Select and apply. Thank you. You select some elements on the page, and then you change their style. When I say change their style, you might be changing the font to be bold, and to be the color to be, let's say, blue, and to be underlined, and to have a border around it. So the same idea. You select, and then you change the style. You change some properties. So that is it's very, very important not to be lost in the details. Details are very important, building your skills, very, very critical, but you never lose the big picture of what each element fits, how it fits in the big puzzle. All right. So let us move forward. Hopefully, if this guy helps. All right. Good. All right. This is the basic idea I already explained. You separate the presentation from the content. The concept of separation of concerns. Very important to reduce complexity and also to benefit from this consistent look and feel, usability and maintainability. Now, before we go any further, now you have your HTML page, which is nothing but text. It's a string, it's a text that you type. It's a special, it's a text with markups. You put the text within some tags. Now, when this text comes to the browser, what the browser does with that text? The first step. Sorry? Interpret it. Okay, very good, yes. Well, the key word here, or the technical verb, we call render. So the browser renders the page. Now, in that rendering process, browser is a program, basically, written in C++. By the way, you can download the source code of Chrome if you are interested. Now, the first step it does, it takes that string and converts it to what? To a tree structure. You took 303. There's something called the tree structure. What is the root of the tree? The HTML tag. Remember, every HTML document has one root, which is the HTML. Then there are two children, the head and the body. And then in the body you might have other children, and let's say a table. Within a table you have a table row, TR. Within a TR you have TD and so on. So at the end it becomes like a tree, like this. So we have the HTML, the head. The head has some child like title and scripts and links and metadata and so on. And the body you might have, depending on what you put in there. Let's say you have an article, within an article you have sections. Within a section you have a header and a div. Within a div you have multiple spans and so on. So, in fact, even if the browser helps me, this machine needs to restart Anyway, let's see. See here when I do inspect. Even here you see it is a kind of a tree, even visually. All right, within this tree you can expand and see more things. Now, the reason why this tree is very, very important for us as web developers, we're not web designers. Web designers, they don't care too much about this. It's just HTML and CSS and they are happy. But for us, we will go deeper. And this tree will become very important. So what do we call this tree, first of all? DOM. The DOM tree, the Document Object Model. You cannot call yourself a web developer without knowing this DOM. Now, the reason why this DOM is very important, when you use style sheets or CSS, you are basically applying styles to some of the branches or the nodes of this tree. Later on, when we will see JavaScript, not later on means next week, inshallah. When we see JavaScript, you will see in JavaScript what I'll be doing. I'll be accessing this DOM. Maybe I'll access this element here and hide it or delete it. Or maybe I'll go and add another child in here using the JavaScript. So the DOM is really critical for styling and for manipulating the page using JavaScript. Okay? Now, next question I want to ask, you see the name is called Cascading Style Sheets. Okay, style sheets we know, it's some rules to allow us to change the look and feel of the page. Now that word cascading, why they put that word cascading there? You know the concept of cascading or cascade? Shallal. Something that goes from top and goes down. Okay, that is basically cascade. Now, why do we call it cascading style sheets? Yes, please.
For the concept of tree, the children inherit from the parents.
Okay, very good, excellent. Now, if I come to the body, thank you. If I come to the body of this element's body, and I change the color to be blue, okay? What happened to all these children? What will be the color of all these children? Blue. So I apply the style to the parent, and the children inherit all these styles. Is this khalas, that's all the story, or is there more to it?
No.
The story also continues to say the child can have their own specific features. So this one, although everybody is blue, but this one wants to be for some reason red. No problem. The child can override, can change the style, not change, can override the style of the parent. So by default,
the same concept for inheritance in general.
yes, in general, yes, thank you. The same concept of inheritance. Like the child can inherit some features from the parent, and they can have their own specific features, an own specific look and feel. Exactly the same concept. And this will become clear through the examples. But in here, I just wanted to introduce this important concept and how it is important for CSS and for JavaScript. And I already explained this. Now, this is how I write the style. Very, very simple language. The styling sheet is nothing but set of rules. Set of rules. How do I write these rules? I select something and change some of its properties. This is called the selector. Let's say here, I'm selecting the whole body of the document. And I open my curly brace and start changing the properties. I want the color to be black, and I want the padding to be 1 EM, basically some spaces before and after each element. Okay? So the way it works, similar to, I gave you the analogy of Word. You select, and then you change some properties. Same thing here. You select certain elements, and then you start changing their properties. So, and the properties is basically name, colon, value. Semicolon, name, colon, value. So name value pair separated by semicolon. That's what style sheets are. Now, here is an example. And here, what I'm telling the browser, what this rule, this is a rule. What this rule is telling the browser.
Apply this
Okay.
style for this three.
Thank you very much. That's it. Yeah, I'm telling the browser, watch out, Mr. Browser. Whenever you see H1, H2, and H3, what do I want them to? What do I want you to do to them? Make them green and make them bold. That's the idea. Okay. Of course, this is the lazy boy. Do it this way. Multiple elements or multiple tags. Apply one style to them. You can always do it the long way. H1, do this, H2, H3. And of course, this is a more concise way of doing it. You select multiple things, and you go and apply some style to them. Now, this is another example here. What this example says? Every paragraph, I want the color to be blue, and I want the size to be 20 pixels. Now, selectors is a big story. How do I select? Remember that tree? How do I select elements from it? Okay? Now, the 20% of the selectors are these three. This is the most important selectors. 3 ways I can select stuff from the tree. The first way is tag. I just put the tag name, P, or all the tags that you have seen so far. You can put them as the selector and then apply a style to it. So in here, as you saw before, I'm going to every paragraph in my document and changing the font family to Verdana. Okay? Now, the other way to do it, I create a style and give it a name. It's a named style. I create a style, give it a name. Here is a style. I called it a red border. The name must start with a dot. This is part of the standard. CSS HTML is standard. Means people have already decided there is no room for us to put anything from our own mind. We use our creativity to use it to make our pages look nice, but the way we write it is already decided, just use it. Now, the name style, the name must start with dot. You cannot put any other thing. And it makes sense because we want to differentiate this from the tag. The poor browser, when it says the dot, it knows it will not go and look for some tag named red border. It's basically I'm creating a style named red border. Now that style, I can take it and apply it whenever I want. So how do I apply style to a particular element?
Get the tag.
Well, basically, every element in HTML has an attribute called class. So I'll come to that element and say class equal the name of the style. Okay? So for example, here I have a paragraph and I apply this red border to it. What will happen to this paragraph? It will have a red border. Okay? The last way is, every element on the page, I can give it a name. Let's say I have here a paragraph. Not a name, sorry, an ID.
Yes.
Here is a paragraph. Let's say, somebody logged in and their username and password is incorrect. So I might say here username and or password incorrect. All right, and I can come to this paragraph and give this paragraph an ID. So how do I give a paragraph an identifier? There is an attribute called ID equals. It's my choice whether to use single quote or double quote. Here, the HTML people did not make up their mind, and you can imagine them fighting in that room. Do we use single quote or double quote? And after a long fight, they say both, and leave it to people to choose. Okay, in here, single quote. All right, so what do I call this paragraph? Error message. Error MSG. All right, here it is. So this is an ID. So in that tree, remember that tree? This paragraph will have an ID called error message. Now what I'm doing here, I am going to that particular paragraph, not all the paragraphs, that particular one. بعينه. We are going to it directly, and what I'm doing to it?
Change it to
Change it to the color to red. You get the idea?
yes.
3 selectors. These are the basics. There is another 80% of selectors. But the basic selectors are 3. What are these 3 selectors? By tag,
Like us.
you create a named style, which is a class, and you target a particular element by its ID. Is clear? The 3 selectors? Okay, very good. Here are some examples. So in here, which type of selector is this? Tag selector. All H1s will either be Verdana. If it's not there, this font, the browser does not have it, it will use this font. Now here I am creating a named style called red border, and I'm making that border 1 pixel. It's a solid border, not a dotted line, or it's a solid line, and it is red. In here I'm targeting one particular element on the page and making its color red. Of course, I can always define, apply a style to multiple things at the same time, separated by comment. Now, if you want to put some comment in CSS, this is how you put comment. Similar to kind of a block comment in Java. Now, the idea of linking HTML to CSS, we already kind of seen this. There are these 2 ways, there are 3 ways: inline, embedded, and external. So inline embedded, you kind of learn it and try to forget it. Okay? You only learn it because you might come across it and you won't be surprised, but you should not use it. The best way to link the 2 is to use external style. So let me explain each one. Maybe the easiest one way now is to just jump to an example, and I'll explain through the example. All right. So every concept you see here has an associated example that you need to go through. So here is the inline style. In here, what I'm doing, I'm coming to this particular element and applying the style directly to it. So every element has an attribute called style, and I write my style there. So you can see here, this defeats the purpose of CSS. The separation of concerns and the separation is not there, and we are mixing everything. It's not good. But anyway, you need to be aware of it in case you see it, you won't be surprised. And now if you, all right, if I hover over this and see this, you can see that this one is all right, let me, as you can see, this paragraph is the default. Remember, the HTML elements has some default behavior and some default look and feel, but you can change it using CSS. This is the default. How it looks in the default way. This is 20 pixels, and this one is 18, and the color is blue. Of course, this you should not use. The second, the better way, but still not the best, is called embedded. Now, in the embedded, what you do is, in the head, at least you are not putting it in the body like inline. In the head, you put a tag called style, and you define your styles there. Maybe this is a new tag for you. It's called emphasize. Like if you have a paragraph and you want one word to stand out and to be like, take over the whole paragraph and attract the attention of the user, you put it in EM tag. And you can style it. I want this EM tag, the background color to be yellow and the color to be red. You might be saying, oh, too much stuff to remember. This is where the tools comes in to help. So you just start, and it gives you all the possible back color. All right, and it gives you all the possible colors. Now the colors, it could be either hexadecimal values, predefined hexadecimal values that people have agreed upon before, or named styles. No problem. You have names here, and in both of them, it gives you a little preview. See here? It gives you a little preview. Nice. In this, this is the beauty of using a tool. It helps you.
Doctor, sorry, please again, what is EM?
Emphasize. Yeah, emphasize. Like, for example, I'm not sure. I am an excellent student. Excellent. I want to emphasize it. To be excellent, like kind of emphasized, you can put it between EM. Now here is further emphasizing it, making it yellow background and a red. Something like, for example, you must submit your assignment by phone. That's by, after it's EM, yellow background and red color. This is where the EM comes in. Sorry, you had a question?
So the EM is for the style, or it's just...
No. Okay, very good question. Look at this. Let me comment. How do we comment things?
//
Thank you. All right. Now let me always like run this to see how it. Oh, sorry, I forgot this. All right, good. Here is the slash. Unfortunately, which is good. Like this is the default. Let me. There is something emphasized. Let me see. Inspect. There is the body, and there is the paragraph. More. It's not a very good example. More. Yeah, you see here more is kind of, italic. You can see this is the default. This is the default behave, but maybe it's not emphasized enough. So if you want to emphasize it enough, I need to restart my machine, but I don't have time for it. All right. If I want to emphasize it further, I give it a more my own custom style. I don't like the default style, and I don't need to save. By the way, it's auto saves. I lost all my icons, so I have to look for them. Oh, lives. Yeah, okay, here. You see them more now?
Yeah.
It's emphasized. Red with the yellow background. Okay, so let me go back here and just try to explain this. Here, what I'm doing, all H1s, I want the font to be Comics and MS. If it's not there, use Arial. If it's not there, use this. It's kind of a fallback. All paragraphs, I want them to be 18 points. Here, what I'm doing here, creating a named style or a class called blue. How do I go and apply it? By going where? By going like to the, what is it? Kind of the maf'ul or whatever. To whom I want to apply the style to. And what I do? I go and define a set, the class attribute to the name of the class. So this paragraph will be blue. And this one will be emphasized, which means italic is the default behavior. So it will be italic plus yellow background and a red color. And by the way, here is the idea of inheritance. Look at this. So this one, the whole paragraph will be blue. But this one has its own style. So it will not inherit the blue color. Okay, because we overrided it to red. So the child, by default, it inherits the parent style, but you can override it. Okay. So in here, for example, the body of the page, by default, the browser, the default behave is the text would be black by default. By default is a white background and black color. Okay, so everything here is black except so this one will be black because it inherits the default behave, but this one will be blue because it has its own style. So basically, the children inherit the behavior of the parent, but they can override it. They can have their own style. Okay. So, to emphasize this further, let me just show you one more thing. So let's say I define here a style for the whole document, and here I put the color is, let's say, pink, deep pink, for example. Okay, this is the default. So the default will be all this deep pink, and if
there is any changes.
yes, if the element has its own style, it will override this default. So now, if I refresh the page, you can see everything is now pink, except if they have their own style, it will override the default. And you see here, this one's supposed to be blue because it should inherit from the paragraph in which it appears. But because it has its own color, that's why it became red. And by the way, the inspector is very, very powerful. You can manipulate the you can manipulate the CSS from here. This is the okay. So this is the emphasize. Have a look at the emphasize. It shows you that the black color is, the background color is yellow. And it shows you from where this color came from. It came from an embedded style in this HTML page. Now, if you want, you can disable this. You can say, oh, let me bring this down. Oh. All right. So I can say, oh, I want to see how it looks without this. You can disable it. So if I disable this, I can disable this red. If I disable the red, what do you think the color will be? Blue. You see here? Now I can even come, and basically it shows you the exact style that is applied. You know, these styles are coming from, you see this italic font, where is it? The font style is italic. This is coming from the browser, the default behave. So I can, default behave I cannot change, but what I want to say is the elements have some default behavior, you can override them yourself. They can be overridden either by the parents, and the child inherit those properties or those styles, or the children can define their own unique style. Is clear? Very powerful language. Very simple, but very powerful.
So the emphasize by default is italic.
Yes.
The font style. And what is exactly the emphasize? It's a head or a part, like the element itself. Part of the
No, the elements could appear anywhere. In a div, in a paragraph, in a line, in a list item. Remember list items?
Yeah.
Anywhere. You can come to a small piece of some piece of text, and you say, I want this piece of text within this big text to have its own characteristics. Okay? By default, the browser will all the browser will do will make it italic. But maybe italic is not. It's due on this date. Do you think the italic will attract the attention of a busy student?
No.
What do you need to do?
Red.
Go to that emphasize and make it more emphasized, bigger, blinking, and so on. Okay, that's the idea. All right, so let's move on. If we still have a bit of time. All right, sorry for this. I really need to. All right, so did we go through all? Yes, we went through all. External. This is the best. External is basically the best style. The best way of linking the style sheets with the CSS, the style sheet with the HTML. So what you do, you put your style sheets in a separate file. And I recommend to put them in a separate subfolder. Either call it styles or CSS. So as we move forward, it's up to you. Although for me, I prefer to call it CSS. We can call it style if you want. And then later on we will have another subfolder called JS for JavaScript. And your HTML will be in the root. This is just a matter of keeping things organized. And here, this is my style in this subfolder, and this is how I link it. I put link, rel, style sheet, and then I put the path. Remember, the path has a slash, not a backslash. Alright? But don't worry, this guy is very, very helpful tool. You might see this looks like a notepad, just type in text. But it can help you a lot in every aspect. So in here, when you put slash, it can give you what are the files in there to pick up from. Alright? So now let us go there and see what the styles we have there. It's basically we are reading these rules. Let's try to read them. Through reading them, we are basically learning what examples, through examples. And you will only, whatever you do, you will only cover the 20%, believe me. It's much more deeper. But this, you can see this 20% is enough to do the 80%. Okay, and then as you go deeper, then you will learn more features. All right. So let's see. What's the first rule says?
Select two.
All right. The anchors, the links.
Yeah.
What do I want the links to be? No underline.
Yes.
You know the links by default are blue and underline. Okay, that's the default. In here, for some reason, this is not a very kind of artistic design. It's just plain. So for some reason, I don't want that underline. How do I remove the underline from all the links on my page?
No.
By putting text decoration? No, I don't want any underline. Now, there's another style here. What this style says. This one links in all the states. كل حالات. This is the states where the link is just by, there is nothing happening to it. It's just in حالة سكون. There is nothing happening to it. How the link will look like? Without the underline. Now, what happened here in this style?
When you don't open it?
Yes, when I put the mouse over it, so when the link is in a state of mouse over it, what I will do? I will bring back the underline, I will make it red, and I will make the background color green yellow.
Okay.
Not, you can see it's not very creative, but just to illustrate the idea. So let's see how it looks like. Here is my link. You see the link?
Yes.
This is not very good, by the way. This styling is not good. It's because usually we are used to links being underlined. We are kind of breaking the convention. It's not very good. But anyway, just to illustrate the concept. So you can see the link there. It's still blue. Blue coming from the default behavior. We didn't change that. I can change it if I wish to confuse the users even more. But I decided not to. But now, here is the idea. Once I hover over it, the mouse comes there. You see what happened?
Yes.
The underline came back. The color changed to red, and the background color to green and yellow.
Doctor, this doesn't have to do anything with JavaScript?
Nothing with JavaScript. This is CSS. CSS by itself is very powerful. Zero JavaScript, you can do this behavior. There are some states that you can limit it. JavaScript is very, you have the imagination is your limit. But with CSS, there is some kind of small features to have this dynamic CSS. CSS that applies in certain states, if the element is at certain state. Okay? Especially links. You can style them when you visit them, when you never visited them, when you hover over them, and so on. Okay? So that is the idea. So let's see what the other ones mean. Here is the style. Now here, what this rule says? Thank you very much. This is if you find emphasize as a child of a list item, what do I want you to do to the emphasize? Make it red and make it bold. Now here, what this is doing. An ordered list, I wanted to push it inside 2 centimeters by making the left margin 2 centimeters. What this rule says? Yes. If I have an unordered list within another unordered list, what do I do to it? Push it inside by another extra half centimeter and make it underline. Pushing it inside makes a bit of sense, making it underline. This is a nonsense, but anyway, this is just to illustrate the concept. All right, so let's see here. We are here, external. All right, because I could go to the browser because I'm having problem with my machine. So you can see here the unordered list is pushed inside 2 centimeters, and the unordered list within an unordered list is basically pushed inside another half centimeter, and it's underlined. Okay? You see here the emphasize within a line item is red and italic. Did we put in it? And bold. It's bold also. Okay, that is the basic idea. So let's move on now a little bit more. We have another 10 minutes.
Doctor,
Yes, please.
from the CSS, I can reach the ID of a specific thing that I want to change.
The ID of specific thing. Okay, yes, you can, yes. Let's say, here is, all right. Here is, let's say, a paragraph. This is a paragraph. You mean applying style by ID to a particular element by ID? All right. Anyway, this is very important to have very well-structured page with indentation to communicate that this is a child of the body. It's very important. Now, this is the due lab 1 assignment due on, and I can further emphasize it here. Let's say March 2016, okay. And here I give it any element in the page, I can give it an ID.
Yes.
And this is very important if I want to manipulate it using CSS or JavaScript. I can go to it directly by ID. Not by tag or not by navigating through its parent. I can jump to it directly. So that's why I'll give it an ID. I didn't give ID to other ones. I don't care too much about them. I'm not going to manipulate them. Why waste my time and name them?
Yes.
But this one I want to name because I want to target with a specific style. So here is the due date. So this is the ID. Now I go to my style and I'll go here and say hash because I'm targeting particular element. And I put here due date. And let's say color. Red. And let's just keep it this way, red. And then what I will do, this EM, in general, whenever you see EM, which is emphasized, I'll make the background color yellow. Sorry. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Wherever you want. That was.
I don't see it.
Oh, sorry. You mean the scrolling? Yes, sorry for that. Yep. Okay. So in here, what I'm doing, I'm targeting a particular element by its ID, and here this is by tag name. Okay. So let us go there. I can go there and refresh, but unfortunately, I have to go to the page. And you can see here, this is a red, and this is red, and with a yellow background. And you can see this EM also got a yellow background because I applied it to all EMs on the page. Okay. But this EM got a gold because there is another style targeting EMs within a list item. You can see very probably, you can control what's going on the way you wish. Here, your imagination, what you want is all there. Okay. And this is without JavaScript. When you put JavaScript in the mix, it's another one. As you move around, the style, you can change it. As the user interacts with the page, you can change the style. And that's what's happening when you see those fancy animations and fancy like kind of visual effects on the page. It could be using very simple CSS, hiding and showing and changing the style as the user interacts with the page.
If I create a style in a style sheet,
Yeah.
I can use it in the document, in the HTML.
Yes. So when you put style sheets outside, you can embed it in many pages. That is the key idea. Is that your question, or do you need something
Like
else?
about the second style of the selector.
Sorry?
In the selector,
Yes.
the second style is to create a style and give it a name.
Yes.
Then and bring it by that name to the style.
Yes, you can, of course. Let's do it very quickly. Very quickly. That's a good question. There is, isn't it? There is a... Okay. Sorry, I really need to start this machine. I will start it immediately after class, but just... Okay, here it is. I think there is. Somebody said there is. Is there a named one here? So we didn't have any named one. Let's have a named one. So here is a red border. Okay, red border. And here, border, 1 point, solid, and red. Okay? So this is a named style. No, I don't want to exit. This is a named style. And then I'll go to my page. Here's my page. Here it is. Yep. Yep. Okay. Here's my page. And this is basically the end of the semester. Khalas, everybody is tired. So here I will apply that red border. You see here the tool? You see what the tool gave me? This is the power of this tool. Very, very nice tool. It gives me all the classes that are defined and the CSS that I linked on the top of the page. It recognizes all the styles in there. It brings them in. Now if I get the page, see here? It's all the highlighting that I can think of. Italic, maybe bold. I still need to make it bold, and maybe 50 points in terms of the size. So that is the idea. So give me, we still have 5 minutes. So let me jump here. So these are the ways we link the styles to the HTML. Inline, embedded, be aware and don't use. External is the way to go. Okay, selectors. We've seen the basic selectors. There is more to selectors. Selectors very, very powerful. Here is another thing you can do with selectors. We already seen this.
Yes.
This one is a child of this. When only applies when A appears as a child of B. Here, what I'm doing here, I am selecting elements that has a particular attribute. I'm selecting elements that have a particular attribute. This is a little bit more fancy, but it's very, very useful. Let me show you examples. These things, you can learn them proper way through examples. Okay? And here is the selectors. Here are the selectors. Attribute selectors. This is an example. So here I have a first name. I have here a form, a little form. Not very nicely done, but anyway, it is a form. You have 2 inputs and a button. You see here I have an attribute called type, which is equal text, and I have an attribute called type, which is type equal button. I want to style the inputs of type text in a different way than the input of type button. Can you see here?
Yes.
They are all inputs, but I want to style the input, the text input in one way, and the button input in a different way. This is very common in CSS. That's why I'm covering it. It's part of the 20%. Here is the nice way to do it. So here I am saying, go to all inputs, but don't bring all of them to me. I'm not interested in all of them. I'm only interested in the ones where type is text. Here, you can put this caret symbol starts with, this is starts with, this is ends with, and this is contains. If you put it before the equal. Okay? But that's maybe part of the 80%. But here I'm just targeting the ones where the type is equal text. I can target the ones that where the type ends with text, with the word text. I put $equal text. If I want anything that contains text, I put star equal text. But let's not confuse it too much. In here, all inputs of type text, what will happen to them? The width will be 150 pixels. The margin, the display will be block. What does it mean, display will be block?
It was not one.
Yes, there will be like a kind of a break before and break after. And the text box will be in its own line.
Yes.
Alright? I want the margin bottom to be 10 pixels. Beneath the input, I want some space. I don't want to be crashing with each other. I want some space between them. And I want the background color of the input to be yellow. Yellow is too much, maybe light yellow. Okay, this one. Light golden ion. It's much better, much lighter. Alright, now for the button, what do I want the button to be? I want it to be 120 with the width of it. The margin is 15, and I want it also to be block in its own line. So here is how it looks when I render the page. Here it is. You see here, the inputs, same size, different background color, and you see the button, nicely done. And this, in one way, in one little style, I am styling all the inputs in my page. Very, very powerful. Now, there is more to it. You can have different colors if I click, if I don't click, if it has error, if it does not have errors, we will see this with JavaScript. It becomes much more interesting. Okay, so that is the basic idea. So, inshallah, next time I will just quickly show you a little bit more selectors, a little bit more advanced selectors, still within the 20% that I use in practice, and then show you very, very common properties that we change. We have already seen some color, background color, the font, and then that's it. We'll move to JavaScript, and you go to the lab and play with this more to gain your